Welcome to week 4 of Connect Groups. Only one more week to go in this session. I'd like to encourage you to make some plans to hang out as a group during the 3-week break. We believe that is a really great way to encourage continuity across sessions, and it works to strengthen the bonds in the group as well when you do things together outside of your weekly meeting for discussion. Now, not only are we nearing the end of our session, but we're also closing in on the end of John's letter that we call 1 John. We're looking together this week at chapter 4, so let's dive in. The early part of John 4, in a lot of ways, it parallels chapter 2. He's calling his readers children again. He's speaking again about the Antichrist, and he reiterates the dangers facing Christians when we're too in love with the things our world has to offer. The warning John gives here is pretty clear. Behind every statement is a spirit, a pneuma, that's the Greek word for spirit. And not every spirit is the Spirit of God. He says there's a spirit of truth that is of God, and there's a spirit of error that's not of God. And he gives us a benchmark that we can use to help determine which is at work. He says in verse 3 that every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. Can I give you a little pastoral advice based on the trends I see in the American Christian culture? Be very careful of theology that makes much of you or much of people more than it does of Christ. This is the trend, to make humanity the center and the focus of the gospel and not Christ. Yes, Jesus died for us, and that makes us valuable to him. But he did it for his glory, not because we are so awesome that why wouldn't he save us? It's his grace that is to be made much of, not how awesome we are that he should want to save us. That's not the gospel, but it's being taught in a lot of ways, in a lot of places. That's actually where John takes us next. He makes the infamous statement in 1 John chapter 4, verse 8, that God is love. Maybe you could spend some time with your group discussing what that means. What does it mean that God is love? And what conclusions does John draw about God's love and our response? It's right there in the text, so I don't want to give away any answers, but your group should be able to answer and talk about how we should apply John's conclusions. Now, a little later in the chapter is one of my favorite statements in the whole letter. In verse 17, John says that if we love God and if we abide in him and in his love, that we can have confidence for the day of judgment because there is no fear where there is love, and perfect love drives away fear. And what a great promise and what a great hope. We don't have to fear the end of our life because we love and are loved by God, which means there's nothing to fear. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, once the fear of death is off the table, life feels a lot more free and easy. Now, here are some questions for continued discussion. What are some of the dangerous spirits of error that you have heard communicated as if they were true? What does John say what does John say should be our natural, logical response to God's love for us? What's the spirit of fear that you once held that you found freedom from in response to God's love for you? Talk through these thoughts and any other personal takeaways you had from the passage with your group. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your time together. I can't wait to worship with you again soon. I'll see you then.